From CIA mind control experiments to villainous barons of industry, the story of this mansion will leave you on the edge of your seat. Hi everyone, Ken here. Welcome to This House. Today we are exploring the mind-bending history of Ravenscrag. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House. Sir Hugh Allan became the wealthiest man in Canada after building up his father, Sandy Allan's business. The Allan Royal Mail steamships brought hundreds of thousands of European immigrants to Canada. As the company grew, Sir Hugh Allan created his own bank, the Merchants Bank of Canada, and used the bank's money to expand his interest into mining, manufacturing, communications, and railways. Despite his success, he was quickly becoming the most despised man in Canada. He had gained a reputation for paying 10-year-old kids just $1 per day to work in the mines. He kept many of these kids in servitude for life, as he would deduct most of their wages for any and every mistake that they would make on the job site. A mix of industry pioneering and child labor extortion made him the wealthiest man in Canada. With his new wealth, he purchased 14 acres atop a mountain in Montreal, on which he would build his dream house. Designed in the Italianate style, the 300-foot wide home would boast 34 rooms with a 75-foot tower soaring above the clouds. The mansion was clad in the heavily textured and rough Montreal graystone, though many of the architectural elements were smoothened in sharp visual contrast. Standing at the front door, Sir Allan could see his ships arriving in the bay, and on a clear day could see the silhouetted mountains of Vermont in the distance. Entering the home, you would pass up a few steps from the vestibule to the main hall, complete with fluted columns with Corinthian capitals. Wainscoting hugged the perimeter above the marble floors with a heavily ornamented plaster ceiling soaring above. The receiving room stretched from the main hall, directing your view through the rounded window out towards the estate's lavish gardens. A fireplace sat recessed to one side in a niche. The drawing room, with Rococo influence, was adorned with artisan plasterwork and hand stenciling on the walls and ceilings, with dramatic corbels connecting the paneled walls to the frieze. 2 crystal chandeliers were suspended opposite each other, the gilded mirror above the fireplace reflecting light from the window set on the opposite wall. The dining room, staying true to the Italianate style, with appropriate doors and Italianate fireplace, had a mix of East Lake and Louis XVI furnishings, all set below a dramatically coffered ceiling. The ballroom once housed 300 guests for a ball in 1872, in an event that was meant to honor the Governor-General. But this ball would be the last major event in the house, as Sir Allan attempted to bribe government officials for an advantage with his railways. He was shunned from society, and his wife, Lady Matilda Allan, would die in disgrace, her funeral being held in the library. Just 18 months later, in 1882, Sir Allan died at his daughter's house while writing a letter. Sir Allan's funeral was not a sad event. He had been a monster, terrorizing the working class and corrupting the government with bribes. He left his entire estate to his son Montagu, an estate valued at $8 million, or the modern-day equivalent of about $230 million. Montagu had just finished his studies in Paris, at the young age of 22 years old. He had never spent much time around his father, and was nothing like him. He immediately began giving money to charities. In 1885, he hosted his first ball for 240 guests. He became wildly popular for his generous deeds and was regarded as a lively and intelligent young bachelor. He went on to marry his good friend from childhood, Marguerite Mackenzie, also known as Martha, who was described as having a taste for adventure and a mischievous sense of humor. The young couple reshaped the public's opinion of the Allan family and reshaped the house itself by adding on massive additions, until the 34-room mansion would boast 72 rooms, with over 53,000 square feet. The massive house required a full-time live-in staff of 19 people, who were paid $575 per month, or the modern-day equivalent of about $19,000 per month. Montagu was considered to be one of the most generous and liked men in Canada, so it was especially sad when tragedy struck the family during World War I. In 1915, the Allans' 2 youngest daughters drowned when the Lusitania was struck by a German torpedo. Their son, Hugh, joined the Royal Naval Air Service and was killed on his first combat mission just 2 years later in 1917. Their only surviving child fell victim to pneumonia. Devastated by the loss of their children, and without an heir to leave their fortune, Montagu began selling his businesses and giving away his money to charities, mostly dealing with wounded and returning soldiers. By 1938, the property taxes at Ravenscrag had climbed to $50,000 per year, or the modern-day equivalent of over $1 million per year. The couple, now aging, were not interested in wasting their time attempting to sell the house. They attempted to donate it to several organizations, being turned down several times due to the size of the home. After many rejections, they successfully gifted the estate to the Royal Victoria Hospital. Following the donation, in 1951, Montagu passed away, with Martha following him to the grave in 1957. They had both passed away believing they had done one final last good deed, helping those who were unwell with a beautiful estate to recover in. But they would be rolling in their graves had they known what would happen next. Ravenscrag had been serving as the Allan Memorial Institute for Psychiatric Patients since 1943, but later on in 1957, during the Cold War, it was infiltrated by the United States CIA as one of the many psychiatric hospitals from which they would run the top-secret, black-budget mind control experiments known as MKUltra. Using a combination of psychedelics, electroshock therapy, and hypnosis, the goal of MKUltra was to develop techniques that could be used for mind control and information gathering. The program lasted until 1973, and details of MKUltra were made public after a 1975 congressional hearing was held to investigate the illegal acts of the CIA, both in the United States and abroad. It is unknown how many of the patients at the hospital were unwilling participants in MKUltra, but it could number in the hundreds. Most recently, Ravenscrag was used by McGill University's Department of Psychiatry. Though much of the mansion had been renovated over the years, it still retained much of its original exterior appearance. Which part of Ravenscrag's history was the most shocking to you? Did you have a favorite room? Let me know in the comments below. While you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an exciting episode of This House. I'd also like to take a moment to say thank you to our This House supporters whose names you can see on screen right now. If you would like to see your name on the screen, join our membership program today. I'll see you next time on This House.